live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton. That is Jerem Jordan. And in a moment, you are about to see BYU football radio analyst and one of our favorite guys, former BYU football standout, Hans Olsen, is back on the show and just in time to talk NFL draft and more. Hans, how are you this fine morning?
I'm always as good as you guys are. So as long as you're good, I'm good, man. As long as my boys are happy, I'm happy. But life's good, man. Finally getting some sunshine. We got some spring ball under our belts. All kinds of drama to talk about in the world of sports. It's nonstop. But love being on with you guys.
There's no more off season, especially for those of us that have a daily show. We love it. We're here for it. And the next topic just so happens to be the NFL draft. But I do want to start with some recent portaling guys for BYU. Hans, from your perspective, and you watched these guys closely last year, Keelan Marion and Harrison Taggart, they're both officially in the portal, seeking other programs and other opportunities. What do you make of those two departures, even though they're not official, but those two inevitable, we feel, departures from BYU football?
Well, first of all, it's heartbreaking, and I'm going to miss him because I really love Keelan Marion, and I think he's a spark plug, and I think he does so many great things. Harrison Taggart, I think he was serviceable, but I don't think that he's as good as some people may have thought he was. I think that there's probably as good of options, if not better options, in the room. And I know people are going to look at his tackles and his numbers, and they're pretty gaudy, and they look good. But a lot of those tackles are made 5-6 yards deep. He doesn't pound the block as much as he needs to pound the block. He doesn't attack as much as he needs to attack. And I think that there's some linebacking options that are as good, and like I said, if not better. Siale Acera is one guy that you got to really watch. But when you've got Isaiah Glasgow and Jack Kelly, you really don't need a world beater at that middle linebacker position. You need a guy that can fill gaps and a guy that's going to play his butt off. And I think that between Ace Kafusi and Siale and a couple of other guys, I think that you've got that in spades. And by the way, that's not an attack on Harrison Taggart because I do like his game. It was, like I said, it was serviceable, but it could be played better. And as far as the receivers go, I think that there's already a logjam. I think that BYU's got so much talent with JoJo Phillips returning, some young talent. Chase Roberts will be back from his injury, his situation through spring, and he'll be ready to go. And I think your receivers are going to be held down. It's just the return game. It was so good, guys, last year. That return game was electric and impactful. So hopefully they can find something to take the place of Keelan Marion's return game.
Do you think you put Parker Kingston as the kick returner? Is that the natural next guy?
Yeah, I think Parker could do a great job. I would like to take a look at guys like, just to take a look at them, guys like Tay Nakua. I'd like to take a look at one of the twins.
The
and
McKenzie
the names
twins, Dom and
the
Marcus.
McKenzie twins. I want to take a look at Dom potentially as a returner because I think Dom might take the next step as a great receiver. So excited to see those guys. They're pretty electric. But I think that there's going to be some return talent there. And, you know, you got to give it to Popinga. Those special teams were excellent last year, well orchestrated, perfectly timed. You know, a lot of times I can spot it and call it out, and I couldn't hardly spot it and call it out. He hit those big special teams moments at awesome times and caught teams flat-footed.
Hans Olsen is with us on BYU Sports Nation. As I mentioned, the NFL draft starts tomorrow. Several reputable mock drafts have Tyler Batty, Caleb Etienne, both going later rounds. What do you think the prospects are of BYU having multiple draft picks led by Tyler Batty and Caleb Etienne in the 2025 NFL draft?
But I think Tyler Batty is definitely a draftable prospect with his 4.7 40 and his height and his weight. And I also think that he's got some duality. I think that he could be moldable. I could use him at a couple of different positions. If I don't feel like I'm getting enough production out of him at the edge, I can use him at D tackle. I can put weight on him. He's just a versatile athlete. So I've got a lot of options with Tyler Batty. So I think he's probably a fourth, more likely a fifth round draft pick. Caleb Etienne would be my next draftable athlete. He's made some noise and he's made some inroads. So watch for Caleb Etienne. I think that Jacob Robinson is a spectacular talent, potentially draftable. But guys, it's so hard. People forget how few are drafted and how tough it is. In Kalani Sitake's tenure, since he was hired in 2016, he's had 14 draft picks. It's just hard to be drafted. And, we look at this talent, we're like, man, you got Braden Keim, who, if he wasn't injured, maybe he could have done something great. Blake Mangelson is an amazing athlete, and he did so much across that defensive line. And John Nelson is great. Connor Pay, who was injured, but Connor's back, and he's going to be healthy and ready for camp. And you look at these guys, you're like, man, those are all draftable prospects, but it's just so hard to get drafted. So I think Tyler Batty, he's a sure thing. Caleb Etienne, maybe. Outside of that, you're probably looking at some free agency, unless guys take flyers on some individuals.
And we'll see the impact of these players, this roster from this 11-2 team the next couple of years. But what does it say about BYU that they can go 11-2 and they don't have a day one or day two guy?
That the coaching staff is good, and that they maximize talent, and that they had a really good quarterback that was able to manage some really good offense. Yeah, there's definitely some things to read from that, but I think that this talent still, most of it's going to find camps. Like Darius Lassiter will find camp. Blake Mangelson will find a camp. John Nelson definitely find a camp. Connor, I know, is going to find a camp. So it's like, we put a lot of weight into these 7 rounds. We put a lot of weight into, it's 257 picks that go down in the NFL draft. So we put a lot of weight in that. We're like, oh, you got to be one of the 257. Well, I wasn't one of the 257. Chris Oak wasn't one of the 257. We made it. Chris made it for 11 years. I made it for 3 years. You don't have to be drafted to make it. And this talent put together that amazing season like you're just mentioning. And a lot of them are going to find a home on a roster, just probably not in the draft.
Hans Olsen, BYU football radio analyst, is on BYU Sports Nation, also a host for KSL Sports Zone. Hans, when you start to consider the players on BYU's team for the 2025 season and what they could do in the 2026 NFL draft, who is the most draftable BYU player in the 2026 rundown?
Well, I'm hoping that Chase Roberts has the season that I'm expecting him to have. And I think Chase will be that guy. Outside of that, it's going to be probably Keanu Teonavasa, the defensive tackle that BYU just acquired from the University of Utah. Keanu is a very special talent, and he's had a lot of NFL attention. He's just got to play more than 6 games in a season, and he's got to show durability. He's got one of the best first steps you'll find of a D tackle in the country, not in the Big 12, but in the country. He is a unique, special talent. And when we're sitting here talking about Tyler Batty, we got to go all the way back to 2016, the last time a defensive end was drafted out of BYU, and Bronson Kafusi. And we go back to 2021, the last time a defensive lineman was drafted was Kairos Tonga. Kalani Sitake's had 2 defensive linemen drafted, essentially. I mean, you really can't count Bronson, but Bronson was drafted the year that Kalani started in. And you've had 2 defensive line drafted. That needs to improve. Kalani knows it, and I know that this front is working on it. And guys like Chad Kawahaha are making a big difference. Along with Sione Pua and along with Popinga and all those guys working together, they're making a big difference. And I think that Keanu is that guy that I would circle. I think that Chase Roberts could be a very draftable wide receiver, especially if he continues to make some of these talented catches. And guys, there's something that plays into this. you got to see guys like Kyle Van Noy and Fred Warner and Sione Takitaki and Tyler Algier and Puka Nakua and Kairos Tong. You got to see these guys having success. And when you got a guy like Puka Nakua that was taken in the 5th round, that is all the talk and all the hype for the NFL. Well, all of a sudden you got a spotlight on Fesi Sataki's wide receivers. Those things make a big difference. So if Puka is lightning rod and Chase goes out and he's having an incredible season, it brings attention to him, and it makes him a more interesting draftable prospect.
Hans, our question of the day is, which team is more likely to win a Big 12 championship next season, football or men's basketball? We've weighed in. What do you think?
I think it'll be football. And I think that a lot of that has to do with just the challenge, the teams that they're going to be playing against. I've already got it circled, fellas. Big 12 championship
Let's
game.
go.
Arizona State, BYU.
Wow.
I'm already saving the
rematch.
date. Yeah, I'm already saving the date. I am fully expecting that to be the game and the matchup. And it's what I want. I'm bummed that BYU doesn't get to see Arizona State in the regular season. It just turns my stomach. I think that the Western region should play every team every year.
Agreed.
Yeah, and it drives me nuts. It should be Arizona State, Colorado, Utah, and Arizona, and it should be every single year. And I'm bummed that we won't get a chance to see Arizona State until that Big 12 championship game.
Hans, after BYU's spring football and having interviewed the players and talked with a lot of the staff, obviously you're confident in BYU's ability to replicate to a large degree what they did last season and even take it another step and get to a Big 12 title game. I guess my question for you is, why are you so confident that this BYU team can take the next step and essentially show the nation it wasn't just a flash in the pan?
Well, they've got an incredible running back duo with Sione Moa and LJ Martin. They've got a dynamic receiving core with guys like JoJo Phillips and Chase Roberts. They've got a returning quarterback that has a chip on his shoulder and a lot more to prove. And all I want to see him do, guys, is just get better in the 2-minute offense or get better in high-tempo offense so Aaron Roderick can run some of that mismatched and mix-and-match tempo offense that he loves to run. And Retzlaff could be incredible if he's not throwing picks on some of those fades. So I think he's got room to improve, but I think he knows how to do that, how to improve. I think that BYU has found their match with their defensive line. I think that they have brought in some really good portal talent. I feel really good about their safety position, and I feel like it's a really solid team. The only thing that they've got to find is their offensive tackles. I think Jada can hold down one side, but they got to find the other bookend. And guys like Waylon Lapuao will hold down the interior. Sonny Makassini and some of these guys, they're fantastic. So I just feel confident about the returning trench, and I feel good about some of your skill players. I feel really good about the quarterback that they've got returning, and it's all full of experience, and they know what they need to improve, and they've got the coaching staff to do it, and they've infused the money to do it. And you know what, guys, when you spend money on a roster, you place big expectations on a roster. So these guys have expectations that they've got to fulfill.
Hans Olsen bringing it on BYU Sports Nation. I guess with no offseason really for the Daily Show, Hans, when in the world do you take a vacation, brother?
Well, I feel bad, man. I wish that I was on that cruise with you guys, seeing all the pictures. And you talk about like that wasn't a vacation. You guys were pumping out videos every day. I mean, Spence, I saw you guys. It felt like, what were you doing in 5-6 interviews every day?
Something like that.
We're here to work, Hans. You know the drill.
It's a work trip.
I heard McMahon kept you busy.
He might have been the only one to keep some people busy on the ship that others didn't partake in.
There were a few times that Gifford Nielsen had to tell Jim to read the room. Read the room, buddy. Read the room.
Well, I could tell you, if I end up on one of these cruises, I'll probably be in Jim McMahon's cabin. It'd be me and Jimmy Mack.
Oh,
Probably tipping one side of the boat, man.
hey, I love it. I love it. Let's get you on that panel with Jim McMahon. Hey, Hans, great to talk to you, man. We appreciate the time, brother.
Yeah, you guys are amazing. Thank you.
See you, Hans.